I want to thank everybody for coming to the Pressure Pot.
A few more minutes, I'll be straight. Keep your friends close, your enemies away. Somebody told me just forget about it. Fuck it, we too on.
All right, we're on this thing.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Let me start my timer.
Let's
Doo-doo.
do this.
we're going to start it now. Well, again, I want to thank everybody for coming to the Pressure Pot. That's the name of the talk show. There's a couple different things that
Get up on your mic.
There's a couple different things that I wanted to talk about on the Pressure Pot. Again, like I said, I thank you guys for coming out and having a blast with me. I want to start off real quick with everybody introducing themselves. I got some fabulous people on the show right now. So I guess I'll begin. I'm Jakima Boykin. I'm a Wilmingtonian. Da-da-da. If anybody knows anything about Wilmington, we're a historic town. It's lovely. It's a lot of things to do. They call it a retirement town. For my race, I'll say it's a little harder for us to branch out and be ourselves. I feel like we are accustomed to one type of living. So I always told myself I wanted to be different. I wanted to step out, step out of the box. So with that being said, I'm in school, Cape Fear Community College. I'm about to graduate. I work in the mental health field, and my biggest thing is I want to be an actor. I want to be an entertainer. I want to do things like that. So that's my goals, and I love people. So again, we're gonna go around. I want everybody to introduce themselves. So I want you to tell me your name, your occupation, if you don't mind, and your favorite cereal. I know that's weird. I want to know your favorite cereal. My favorite cereal is Fruit Loops. Young man, you want to start it off?
Sure, I will. My name is Donnie, and that's Donnie with an IE. I've only been in Wilmington maybe about 3 years or so. And the first couple of years in Wilmington proper. Right now I live in North Brunswick County, the fair city of Leland. Also, I work in mental health. I have a somewhat checkered past in maybe a good way. A little bit of a bad way, but mostly good way. And I'd like to also thank you for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to this.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
All right, Mr. Donnie. Hey, hoorah.
Ladies first, man.
Yeah.
Semper
All
Fi,
right,
do or
and
die.
young lady,
Alright.
you want to introduce yourself? Hold on real quick. Mr. Donnie, you didn't tell me your favorite cereal.
Oh, my favorite cereal is Kellogg's Frosted Flakes.
Okay, I'm
Wow.
cool with
That's
that. You know that's the old people cereal, right?
Your mama.
That's something. See, that's what I was looking forward to, learning new things here. So.
okay. That's stereotypical. I'm sorry. I do apologize. You all right, young lady?
Yes. My name is Tiffany Bozeman Forward. I like to consider myself somewhat of a Wilmingtonian because I moved here when I was very young. I moved here at the age of 10. I was adopted by a pretty popular family here in Wilmington named the Bozemans, and I couldn't have asked for a better family. I also have somewhat of a checkered past, like Mr.
Donnie.
I'm sorry, what's your Donnie? Okay,
right.
like Mr. Donnie here, and I think I have a little even spread of good and bad things, but I like to consider all of them good things because I have used them as tools to make me a better person, and I have not let those things define who I am as a person. So honestly, I think they all equal up to great experiences.
Oh, that's awesome.
And my favorite cereal is an old people cereal, and it's a Raisin Bran.
Oh, yeah, you're weird.
Raisin Brown will keep you regular.
Yes.
Happy
As you
booty's
can
happy
see,
booty.
I am pretty regular.
I always ask people, just to start off conversation, what their favorite cereal is. And I've never, in my maybe like 4 or 5 years of asking, had anybody tell me they like Raisin Bran.
I love Raisin Bran.
I mean, I eat it, but nobody tells me that's their favorite, though. Nobody tells me that's their favorite. All right, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just telling you to get on your mic.
Oh, I'm on.
You're over here like doing a Stevie Wonder.
Do-do-do.
I just called.
All right, tell me more.
So I'm Jamie. I do TVs, I do commercials, I do podcasts. If you want to be famous, I'll try to make you famous. If not, make you infamous. I talk a lot of shit. I do a lot of shit. and I am the shit. So
Hey,
what's up?
Yes.
I forgot that part. I am this shit.
Far as cereal, when I was a kid, I used to like Kellogg's, just cornflakes. My grandpa and grandma had a farm, and I'd go help them out in the summer. And we'd pick fresh strawberries, and we'd have milk freshly pasteurized, and we do it that way.
yeah.
But since I don't live on the farm anymore, now it's Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah.
That's a weird cereal. I
You're a
don't know.
weird
It
cereal.
gets soggy too quick for me.
Eat it fast, girl.
I
Get a
get
big
it.
spoon.
Yeah. You know, to eat cereal fast, you gotta like. Never mind. Don't even worry about it. Anyway, all right, you guys. I thank you for introducing yourself. So I just want to go straight into the topics because we don't have a lot of time. So my biggest thing, I always thank my grandma and my mom for raising me. I always call them at least 3 times a week and thank them for the foundation that they gave to me. Because if you don't have a foundation as a kid, oh man, it's harder to grow up and be successful. To me personally, like it's a struggle. So like I said, and not only do I thank them, I thank God for letting me be in kids' life to kind of like direct them in the right path. So real quick, my biggest thing is education. I feel like you need to have education.
Classical education or a new age education?
Hold on, repeat that.
Classical education, like you go through K through 12, then to a secondary school, things of that nature, or we now are in the digital world where you can get an education based off YouTube.
Yes.
So you have practical education or traditional.
Real quick. Okay, so I will speak on that. I'm in college now, and I'm coming up to the end, and I've learned a lot of things. But one thing I will say is 50% of what I've learned, I could have learned it off the internet. I could have learned it off of YouTube. Now, could I have said that maybe 10 years ago? Maybe not. So, real quick, I don't know. What were the options again? What were the options again with the education?
So you have traditional education.
Traditional
That's the
education?
route you're going now. Now, on the other hand, I got my GED in the 9th grade. Traditional education was not for me. I've always been, if I wanted to learn something, I take the time to learn it, but I don't care about what people say I need to know.
Cool. I'm with that.
But based off what I've done, I've had 5 businesses now. Of course, this is the only one that's worked. But everything just evolves. So at the end of the day is I don't have all that other money over my head. I don't have to other stuff. But it is a stigma when you try to get into more professional settings.
Yes, I agree.
Not having that piece of paper.
Yes.
Well, I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. But what I can say is, for myself and my race, it is better. I mean, maybe this is being judgmental. You should have an education. You should have not just a...
So you feel because you're black you should have a piece of paper to validate you?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
They look.
I have 2 biracial kids. That's why I'm asking.
They look at you different.
Okay. How?
Can anybody disagree with that?
No.
They look at you different.
I'm
If you don't have it, I didn't mean to cut you off, Miss
No,
Tiffany.
it's okay.
But if you don't have that piece of paper, being my color, my race, oh man, yeah, I mean you gotta go hard.
Sure.
You gotta go hard. And here's the thing though, this is what's crazy. You can have that piece of paper and go hard, and you can have that piece of paper and they still look at you crazy.
Sure.
Period. So like, what draws the line? That just shows somewhere is messed up. Period.
I think that I believe that both are needed. But I also believe that just how we have teachers who teach us, also you have to think of your community as a teacher. And
I
I
agree.
mean not just the people in it, but the things in your environment, using tools like books and also the internet that we have the luxury of accessing now. I got my GED in the 10th grade. I didn't
Oh, wow.
graduate.
I never knew that, and I would have never guessed that.
Of course.
And you're very intelligent. Wow, that's awesome.
Very, because
Okay, so you kind of like wean me over like 40%.
yeah. As a young child, I did a lot of reading. I had a pretty rough background, and for me, reading was like an escape.
Yeah.
So on my
that's
off time, or even going to like a basketball game, if there was a book that I was highly interested in, every bit of my free time went towards reading
Cool.
or writing, because I like to write too.
How many kids do that now?
Not
son
many.
does.
Even
Dun,
my
dun,
children,
dun.
it's like, yeah. Even with my children, it's like
There's the
pulling
problem.
teeth sometimes to get them to read. And I think it's not because I'm not doing what's right at home, but they have outside influences like their friends who, they're watching them. And
I agree.
nowadays, people are more influenced not by their parents or other family members, like people who are older than them. They're looking to their people who's their age as like an example.
You know how I got my son to read? Comic books and Japanese anime.
Yeah.
I don't care what you read. Just read.
Yeah.
Jump
You gotta
off
get-
of the internet.
Okay, I'd like to comment on what you all of you have touched on. Some things I want to comment. First of all, you have to ask yourself a question. Jamie's question was about traditional versus New Age education. Okay, the basic lack that I see, or whatever, a problem is that with all the information available to us, we still don't know how to learn. We're not taught
I like that.
how to learn. So whichever you choose, you're still at a disadvantage. Okay. And I think that obviously the world is changing. Okay. The world is changing. I don't feel that in our future, you're going to need to be as credentialed as you had to be in the past. Okay. I think you have to demonstrate that you have a pragmatic grasp of whatever it is that you're doing. But I'd also now, Tiffany brought up a very good point for our community, any community, but especially for us right now, which is this. We have to utilize the resources at hand. Why don't we have tutorial programs in our churches?
Yes.
Okay, we're being told that we're constantly behind. We have retired and semi-retired educators, okay, in our community, especially in our churches. And it could start small and grow, but in any survival situation, and that's what we're in, and that's what the society at large is in, a survival situation. So we have to look at, okay, what resources do we have available? How do we use those resources to our best advantage? So,
Okay. So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Why the church and why not take more personal responsibility and say, I, as a parent, need to do this?
because the thing is this right now, because of our work culture.
Okay.
Most parents now, and I'm not putting all of the blame on the work culture, but unfortunately, the mindset of most of the parents is that, okay, to appear to be a productive member of society, I have to have certain things. I have to have a home in a certain area, drive a certain type vehicle. I myself and my children have to wear certain types of clothing. Now that's a failing. Okay. But I don't see a change in mindset of individuals. And I'll have to state, I am not a big fan of the Black church in its current state.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not a Christian and a Muslim or whatever either, but I do recognize the power of a belief system, and especially the Black church. I think that that's why I say it can be used as a resource. Sure. After school programs, job training programs, that type of thing. So that's it. Yeah.
Well, let me say this. I shoot for a lot of churches. I've shot for churches where they're only concerned with the offering and they'll do it 2 or 3 times. I've also shot for the churches that barely want to do an offering because they want to make sure you get the word, and that's more important to them. I think for the churches that it's more about the word and trying to do right, they would love to do it. And a lot of those people would do it gladly, and they do it for free.
My question is, why aren't they doing it? And see, that's my thing is that, the word is fine.
Sure.
Okay. But we have some very earthbound problems here that need to be addressed.
Sure.
And it's the same thing, like, okay, you have to, in order for a hungry person to hear you, you have to fill their stomach first, so to speak. And I'm borrowing that from
100%.
someone else. Okay,
Yeah.
that's not
100%.
original to
Their
me.
mental state is
Exactly.
diminished because they're not
Exactly.
getting the nourishment they need.
Exactly. That's the perfect word. That's what I'm
So
looking
that's
for.
the biggest
Nourishment.
thing.
Exactly.
Taking the pressure off of people so that they can focus on those things.
On the
that matter.
divine. On the divine.
You know
Exactly.
what I mean? That was my biggest. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to make a podcast, because I learned so many things, and it's like everybody keeps sweeping these things under the rug. Take the pressure off. It's not easy to be in society right now. You gotta do bunch to make
It's
it.
never been easy. If you go
to
back
me,
through
it-
history, it's perspective. You're living in a time now. Back in the 70s, we had similar issues, different social issues, but when you come right down to the economics of everything, factor in inflation. I mean, we've never had it easy. If it was easy, we would be in a
Jamie,
socialistic environment, and trust me, we don't go
I
socialistic.
kind of disagree.
Go ahead, fire away.
Only because you can be born into wealth.
You can be, but wealth
Period.
doesn't make you happy.
I'm not even talking about being happy.
Okay,
I'm talking about the certain things that you have to live.
such as
You name them. You know.
Okay.
What do you have to live? Water, lights,
Sure.
food. Some people struggle to make those ends meet, man. So if you
struggled to
struggle-
live through that.
You don't, but there
Not
are
now,
people,
but I used to.
But and that's why I love you, Jamie. But there are people that struggle to make those ends meet. So just think, real quick, making those ends meet, plus everything else that you have to live for, and it's hard, man.
So okay,
It's hard. It's hard, man. Take the pressure off. People, that's another thing.
Pressure makes diamonds.
Let's sweep it under the rug. Let's sweep that under the rug. No, it is hard out here.
It's
I'm
never
about
been
to
easy.
It's
put
not hard.
pressure
It may
on
not be
right
hard
now.
for you because you found a foundation. You built up what you have now.
Do you know that
But
took me
certain
22
people can't-
years?
Hold on. Certain people cannot even grasp what they want to do in life because they are stuck trying to make sure that the water and the lights. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a dream.
Okay.
They can't even begin to think about it because they gotta pay water.
If you want
They
something to
gotta pay
last, it's
lights.
never going to be handed to you.
Sir?
If you want something to last, it can never be handed to you. If you're handed
I
something,
agree.
you never take the time to learn why it got there in the first place.
Well, we have to remember, too, that these problems, and see, this is going to be part of the debate going into this next presidential election. And I just heard the word, socialism, and I think that's one thing that the Republicans are going to try to use against the Democrats. My take on it is this: is that problems, whether they're problems that an individual has or a group, they don't just spring forth overnight. Okay,
I agree.
These problems grow over time. Okay, and we have to realize that and address them as such. There is no easy answer. Also, we talked about perspective
Can I
earlier.
disagree?
Sure.
There is an easy answer.
Okay, I'm waiting. Sure, I'd like to hear it then.
There's resources out there. There's people that can really help you.
But where does that money come from?
Okay, but let's take out the money for a second.
You just said you don't have the money.
Okay, well, we can get money. There's money. Money's an issue, but there's plenty of people out here that have the money, and all you got to do is ask.
But how did they get their money in the first place?
Okay, maybe they were born into it, or
That's a point.
it was given to them, or they worked hard for it.
Sure.
Those are the people that don't want to just freely give it away.
Sure.
But I disagreed about.
I want to make, specifically so I can respond. What specifically did you disagree with?
I disagree to the part of it being
love his
hard,
voice.
if I'm not mistaken.
It is, I think so, because once again,
it is and it's not.
I think so, because once again, it goes back to the amount of information available to us, whatever resources may be available. You have to factor in a person's two things: that individual, and also the system, or also who's allocating those resources. Okay.
Here's where I disagree. If I was hungry, Mr. Donnie, would you feed me?
Well, see, but yeah, you're an individual, and then I would feed
Period.
you, but who else would feed
Feed
you?
you,
Okay,
exactly.
who else would?
It's a system.
I mean,
Would
and
you
then,
feed me?
Yeah,
You guys
I
would
would
feed me,
you, but
right?
there's people that wouldn't feed you, and
But
that's
if I got
Mr.
one person,
Donnie,
that's all I
Yeah,
need.
yeah.
Mr. Donnie,
Well, not no. You
you're
have
hitting
to,
the
but you
nail
have to
on the
meet that
head.
one person. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Miss Tiffany. I
I'm sorry.
apologize.
You-
Sure.
I just want to say you're hitting the nails right on the head. There was a point that I wanted to make a while back. I feel like, for me personally, I've been on both sides of the track.
Yeah.
I've been doing okay, middle class. My family was considered middle class in New York City. And I've also been on the side of the tracks because I've been in 14 different foster homes. And each family didn't take care of me the same. But not just as a child, but growing into an adult. As I did as a child, there was a lot of times I had to fend for myself. And that became a part of the person that I am. And psychology studies have shown that whatever environment you're in, and the type of people who raise you and the things that you're introduced to forms your character, your personality,
I agree with
and
that
how you
100%.
choose to handle things in your
100%.
life. And I think a lot of people's characters and mindsets are all messed up. And our system, like Mr. Donnie said, has set it up that way, where people are lazy and they think that it's no way to get out of the situation that they're in. But if you
agree.
dig deep and you put your toes in the dirt and you stand firm and you do what you have to do, like everybody else, it looks easy. We have a talent of making things look easy, but it's not easy for anybody. Me sitting here, people probably think, oh, she got it. You know, I work 3 jobs. I work hard. I barely see my children, but when I do see my children, I invest my time into them. You
That's
understand?
awesome,
And if
Tiffany.
other things have to go on the back burner to make sure that my children have a strong character and that they know how to survive. Like if something was to happen to me tomorrow, from me just being stressed, having to work myself to death like most Americans. That's why, you know, our lifespan is so short right now also, because of the system. We're all living under a bunch of stress and anxiety, whether we know it or not. I recently found out that I was suffering from anxiety and I didn't know what it was.
So can I ask a
You
question?
understand? Hold on, let me finish.
All right, go ahead.
I had to educate myself on a lot of things, and that comes from the environment that I grew up in. I bounced from house to house. There was nobody in my life that I could depend on, not even my own parents, and that was something that I learned from a very young age. Yeah. So for myself, I don't depend on the system, and I'm not knocking anybody that depends on the system. But guess what? I know that if I'm getting my bread from somebody else, even my clients, I have my own personal clients. But I know if they decide tomorrow, Tiffany has too much going on with her kids, or because one day I was late, they say we don't need her anymore. I only have me to depend on. So I have to line things up so that I'm not in one of those situations where I don't know how I'm going to pay my light bill, or I don't know what's the next meal we're going to eat. Or you understand? I think we're so messed up in the mind, thinking that things are just going to fall in our lap because we think, oh, if I lose my job today, I could just go down to welfare. Well, what if you go down to welfare and they say, well, we just saw that you was making $1,500 a week. Where's that money at? And they turn you around. You're going to have to go a month or two without any help.
Yeah.
And you're going to be doing things like all those people who work for the government when the government got shut down. And I'm thinking to myself, these people make bukus of money. What was you doing with your money that y'all struggling, that y'all got to line up at churches to get food?
Again, it's perspective. You get used to making that much money.
Right, exactly.
But
Exactly.
we used to say something in the Marine Corps. We always said 2 things, at least on the West Coast. One is work through the suck.
There you
and
go.
the other is the more you bleed in peace, the less you, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war.
Exactly.
I explain that.
Okay, what it means is do your preparations, struggle, work, educate yourself, put yourself. Don't be afraid to put yourself in those situations so you can grow. Work through it, find the problems, evolve. The only thing stopping you is you.
Absolutely.
I agree with that 100%. Okay, so real quick, I don't know. Maybe I'm
You're
Maybe
passionate.
Okay, period. Maybe
Starving
I'm
artist.
passionate
Yeah.
because I got a chance to see. I'm just like Tiffany. I got a chance to be on both sides, and when maybe not both sides because I lived a pretty good life. You know what I'm saying? So, and I was born into. I wasn't born into wealth, but I was born and I got good things. I didn't have to worry about things that people have to worry about now. The kids have to worry about now. So, real quick, I just got a question. How do you take the pressure off? Because I am passionate. I do know people that don't know how to.
Now, what do you mean when you say take the pressure off?
You want stuff handed to you? Is that what you're saying?
Goodness
Just
gracious.
hand it to me
Okay.
and I'll.
I don't want you to hand it to them. Okay, well,
So you're saying, how do you help?
or be a mentor, because I feel like you have to direct a person. Like,
At what point do you take accountability for yourself?
okay, so if I'm sitting with a person that does not have it all figured out, first let's come to grips.
What's the first thing I told you when
It's
you wanted to
your
start the
fault
show?
that you're in their position or wherever you're at right now. Now let's see how to get out of that position. And I want to be that person because if not, you're gonna die living like that.
Well, you have
I don't want you to do that.
It depends upon the situation because it's like this. It's that it's what you have to do is take an honest look at what you can do, really. And depending upon the context of the situation itself, what can I do here? You may not be able to do much at all. You may be able to plant a seed, or you may be able to do a lot. My take on it is this, is that, until we address the basic problem to me, until we address this basic problem, which is immaturity, and that's societal. For us, unfortunately,
with that.
Americans at large, we're immature, and minorities, let's say specifically the African American community, we've become very immature, and that's our basic problem. Is immaturity and
Victimized.
right, and I think Jamie, that's what he is going toward there, because as an individual, as you grow and mature, you are self-aware, and that's to me the definition of adult. You learn to take care of yourself. Okay, cool. And it goes back to, if you can't take care of yourself, let's say a man and a woman that are going to get married. If they are not two individually mature people, that relationship as a couple is already in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So it's the same thing as you in the macrocosm as it is in the microcosm. It's the same thing, I feel. So you address that. You have to be very, very, very careful with your passion. I understand. I've been a passionate person and stuff. And when you see a bad situation, you want to rectify that situation so badly, but you can't. Many times you have to be satisfied in that, okay, I just did what I could do, okay, within whatever boundaries that I'm restricted by. Whatever.
You were a Captain Save 'em too?
Pardon me?
You were a Captain Save 'em too?
Captain Save Me Too. I'm sorry.
Captain Save 'em.
Save. In another context, according to my sister, yes.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss that off camera.
When it came to women, I was.
Yeah. Okay. Since you want to go, sure. Yeah. Okay.
I like that point, Mr. Donnie. It says, be careful with your passion.
Exactly.
And I need to be careful with my passion, especially right now, because I feel like I'm up and rising. And I am passionate. I don't know how to say no. Wait to say no.
Drown.
I've been to workshops on how to say no.
Sure.
I can't say no.
If you have a canoe and it has a hole in it, are you going to take other people onto your boat, or are you going to fix your canoe first so it can hold the water?
I'm going to fix a canoe, but as soon as that canoe's fixed,
Okay.
come aboard.
And all of a sudden
Period.
it pops because you put too much pressure on it?
You said what?
Then your repair's going to pop because you put too much pressure on it?
I'm going to make sure that repair is one of the best, so that I can put those people on the boat. Man, I care about people. I feel like that's my passion. That's what I'm here for.
Sure, and it's okay to care, but you've got to do your homework first,
Yes.
and
I
put
guess.
programs into place to help those. Because other than that, if you try to play Captain Save 'em, and you say, "Hey guys, come to this. Come here. I will take care of you. I will do everything." Sooner or later, your resources are going to be depleted.
Depleted.
Now they've all relied on you. They don't have any will to do anything anymore because they know you got their back.
Exactly.
Your
That's how
resources are
I'm
gone.
coming
Now
right
you're
now,
dead.
man.
And what do? Now everyone dies.
Yeah.
This is I would like to say a
Get
very
comfortable,
powerful phrase or statement that my bishop tells us a lot. And he tells us to, I think a lot of us have experience where we have tried to help certain people, and not that you're necessarily looking for anything back, but they didn't do anything with the help that you offered them or that they might have received from you.
Yeah.
There was so much that they could have done with it that they didn't. My bishop says this, that you have to plant seeds in fertile soil. So
Exactly.
that's what I want to share with you, is to plant your seeds in fertile soil, like what you're doing right now. This is a fertile soil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You might not get every single thing that you might imagine out of it, but you're putting forth something good into the community, and something will definitely grow from
How
this.
can you even judge it though? I feel like I'm planting my seed in all fertile.
Are you going to
ground.
try to?
Yeah, but I'm not speaking for you specifically, but just in general. I'm sure you've had times where you have planted in
Yes,
unfertile soil.
I have.
People who absolutely did not deserve your help.
So how do I weed through? How do I know?
Are you going to plant an apple tree in a desert?
No.
You did your
You know-
homework.
yes,
you know what will
you
grow.
know who you're
Go
dealing with.
And try.
Sit up straight.
I feel like
Yeah.
you can kind of. Okay, I'm insane. Maybe I'm insane. I feel like you can plant an apple tree in the desert and make it work.
You
How?
could. You know
I
how
don't
much
know.
work. You know how much
gotta
what
put
you'd have to
work
do.
in.
Exactly.
And you have to bring fertile soil to the desert.
Right, I agree.
And look
For
at-
the tree to
I
grow.
won't be able.
and look at your ROI, your
water.
return on investment.
I have faith. I'm sorry. I have a lot of faith. I have
Faith is fine. Blind faith
Faith-
is ignorant.
Yes.
Got you. I've been told that all my life. I have. All right, you guys. So letting the pressure off. I guess we won't let the pressure off. Let's be hard on people so that they can
Yes. That's
appreciate.
why it's called the
They
pressure
can
pot.
appreciate. Yes, the pressure pot.
So what do you mean by let's be hard on people? I want to be clear. What do you mean?
I've just seen so many situations not work for people, and it's like, oh man, I wish I could help you.
Can I ask you a question?
Let's let the pressure off of you.
Are you so? You've heard the term 10%er, right? Like the 10% most rich people in the world.
No, speak on that for me.
Okay, so and no matter what you do, there's always that 10% that seems like they're doing better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in a lot of the society, I see everybody wants to be that 10%.
Yeah.
Well, if everybody reached that 10% plateau,
What
we
the
have
hell
to
would you
we have
do?
to create another 10%. Now, that's kind of like what happened in the early 80s. Everybody wanted to have a house. Then we had Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac. They had we were given subprime mortgages to help people to get their house. In theory, it was a phenomenal idea. It was great, right from the heart. Until you look into it a little deeper, where was that money coming from? Could people afford to keep those houses? It started the real estate boom. Yeah. Now, why did they do that? There's a million ways you could spin it, but from sometimes the worst thing you can do for somebody is give somebody something.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Make them work for it.
Well, know what you have to do for people. You have to raise the person's consciousness level, or let them raise their own. Give them the tools and resources. Really, I feel like this. Many times, it's not that you can actually do something for someone. You create the environment that they can do for themselves.
I like that.
Yes, I'm cool with
Okay,
that. I'm cool with
that's what you do. You create that environment, because I think, to me, that's where organized religion goes off the rails, and in that, okay, we have this structure we want to impose. An artist has to learn his or her craft first, and art by definition is individual. You have painters, writers, etc., that are great artists, but are they artists because they are following a structure? No, they learned the structure to work within, and they found freedom within that. That's it.
So, real quick, I like what you said.
Okay.
Create the environment for them
Right.
so that they can do better. I love that.
Right.
So, can I just ask a question? Because I'm a Wilmingtonian and I'm speaking. I feel like when I speak for so many people. Is the environment created?
What do you mean? Is the environment
You
created?
said create the environment so that
For
you
them.
can do
Yes.
above. Do you feel like the environment's created?
I feel like people may be trying to do it. And I think that some of the things I mentioned earlier, such as utilizing the resources available,
You should.
and that it would help. I think that once again, like you mentioned, mentoring before, and I've seen most of the programs I've seen, the mentors or the program wanted to instill their idea of success rather than, once again, letting the person being mentored find his or her own level of success. So that's what I'm saying.
I still
Yeah.
feel like we should help them.
That is helping them. That the thing is
Pull them
this
along,
is that
man. Because if not, you just dead weight, bro.
you cannot
Just-
pull along. Let me say, okay, I'll bring up something that's a hot button issue. It keeps kind of cropping up, which is reparations for us.
speak on that. A little
I am
bit.
I am anti-reparations. The reason I'm anti-reparations is this. One is this. I feel it's an insult to the ancestors because I think any time you receive any type monies or resources for something, that the mindset of whomever is giving that to you is like, okay, we're done with you. We've paid you. There's no amount of
I agree
money
to
in
that.
the multiverse that can cover what happened. Okay, that's first of all. Secondly, we have to look at our group consciousness. We have to look at what we're doing with our resources right now. How are we using or misusing the resources available to us right now?
I can agree to that.
Okay. And so it speaks right back to what Jamie was addressing earlier, is this. You can give a person all the money or help in the world. If their consciousness level is not developed enough, they're going to misuse it. Case in point, lottery winners who take millions of dollars and flush those millions down the drain. So that's my answer.
And
Okay.
they do. and they do.
I have a comment
Yeah.
on that also. I think that a lot of people in our community, unfortunately, I have to specify colored people.
Yeah.
And when I say colored people, yes, I'm talking about African Americans, because I really can't put Latinos in this same box. But we as African Americans, we spend our money in the wrong places and we're flushing it down the toilet.
I can agree to that 100%.
There was a record recently of how much money we as African Americans spend in Walmart and at the hair salons. Like, they're like the richest people right now. And it's us African Americans dumping it into Jordans and the weaves and going to the nail salon, when really all that stuff does, it doesn't really benefit you in the long term. You know what I mean? It's just for right now. Okay, I want to look good this week, so I'm gonna go and spend $500 on a weave.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I'm gonna spend $100 on getting my nails and toes done, when if I'm thinking about preserving myself and my family, instead I'll go figure out what I could do with my own hair, and I'll go get me a $5 or even $1 bottle of nail polish and paint my own nails and try to invest in myself and eat more vegetables and nourish myself so that
That's
I
a
can be the
mindset.
best me without going to give my $500 to the China men. You know what I mean? I take my $500 and invest in how I can nourish my body for me to be the best natural me. Invest in who I am.
Can I say something
And-
real quick too? I mean,
Go ahead.
I know I'm bad at. I need to learn how to listen and not.
It's okay.
So, where did that come from? You weren't just born like that. You weren't just born with that mentality. You had to learn that, right? Not everybody has that mentality.
Not necessarily. Our consciousness
Not
levels
everybody
are
knows,
different.
Not everybody
And it's what
is
we
cool with that.
allow
Yeah.
ourselves to be influenced
Exactly.
by.
Yeah.
I definitely
Yeah.
agree. And it's crazy that I cannot disagree with anything that you just said. I read an article the other day saying that.
Heck, we just had a conversation about it.
Yeah, right. And he was telling me, because I was like, yeah, I'm going to get all dolled up for the show. He's like, look, it doesn't even matter what you got on. I'm going to see you from top to bottom. This one's
Yeah.
right here.
Right.
I mean, either way, I still was going to get flying flashes. Okay, but, dang, what was I about to say? Real quick, I read an article the other day was just saying, like, it don't matter how much money they give to African American people, man. We still gonna put it out there where it don't need to be at. We
Because of
still
the
gonna buy
mentality.
shoes. We still gonna buy flashy cars that we can't pay for. It don't matter what you do. So this is where I feel like I gotta make a difference. So sometimes you need to be steered in the right direction.
Okay.
If you got the money, I'm coming to you right now to show you what to do with that money, because I'm in.
What makes you listen?
What makes me listen? What makes me listen, or what makes the people listen?
It's what you see. I feel like
I agree.
everybody is influenced by what they see.
So let me
because
show
a
you
point
something
you
that
made
works,
earlier,
please.
Exactly, and the point that you made
This
earlier
works.
was about how African Americans want to look like they're doing well.
Yeah.
And that's what the problem is.
I agree.
Everybody's trying to look like they're doing well, but you don't have a pot to piss in nor a window to throw it out of.
Too much
And
reality
really,
TV.
that's
Right
that's
there.
the epitome of doing well. You have a roof over your head. You have food in your refrigerator. You know, you have decent clothes on your back. You know, my mom growing up, she told me they had 2 or 3 dresses and 1 pair of shoes. You know what I mean? And they look cute. I look back at the pictures, and it's a matter of
I like that though.
people just have the whole thing twisted, and
I
it's
agree.
all about propaganda and what we've been shown.
I was just about to
with
say that.
magazines
Where did that come from?
And people in hip hop and all these famous people that walking down the
started
red
somewhere.
carpet looking glamorous. We all want that. That's everybody's American dream, is to be wealthy and doing well. And we have been poisoned in our mindset that that's what doing well is. Being
Yeah.
filthy rich and driving the Rolls Royce and the Benz. And if you don't have that, then you ain't nothing. And we have let that influence who we are and how we operate.
It's because we basically lost what little culture that we had.
I agree to that 100%.
And we became consumers. And the thing is like, I'm old enough to remember the tail end of the 60s and what started occurring in the 70s. And I remember reading Ebony magazine and seeing that, we're progressing because so-and-so has become regional manager at such, at Acme Widgets, and look how far we're coming, and seeing those things. And it also too is hope sustained us through all that we've been through and continues to sustain us. But hope is also a double-edged sword. Okay. Because the thing is that within that idea is that, okay, we look for touchstones or whatever to show progress. And okay, all right, well, I have this certain type job or these certain types of material things. And so, yes, I'm making progress. That hope that I've held in my heart is paying off, when really, no, it's not. You're going backwards. So that's what I see, is that, once again, and I have to come back to this again, is consciousness. And our problem is this.
Stay conscious.
Like
I
an
that.
individual, we've been traumatized. What do we do for a traumatized individual? At best, we give them the type treatment we need. As a people, we have not really had that treatment. It's not in the best interest of the power structure to give us that. So we're put in the position of physician heal thyself, so to speak. And but I don't know if we're going to come back from this. We always look for a charismatic leader instead of building a network of charismatic folk. So, and so that's what we have to do. So, I mean, that's my thing. I always come back to consciousness, because if you don't have it or develop it, you can have all the keys to the universe right there at your disposal. You're not going to know what to do with them. You're just
I feel
not.
like that's me right now. All right, you
Nah,
guys.
okay,
Look,
sure.
I thank everybody again for coming out,
Sure.
being a part of the Pressure Pot. We talked about some great things.
Yes.
It was awesome. And again, like I said, I thank you, Mr. Donnie. Thank you, Miss Tiffany.
Yes.
And I thank you, young man. That's it.
Do you want
Awesome.
to let
Okay, thank
everybody
you.
drop their socials?
Yeah. Write your socials down.
No,
Everybody
drop your
write-
socials. Like
Social
tell people how they can
networks.
find and get a hold of you.
Oh, I thought you meant
No.
social security numbers. I was gonna say, man, I'm
No,
not
tax
doing
ID,
no-
girl.
All right, yes. You can definitely.
I'll take some good social security numbers. I need some new
my name
cameras.
is is Jakima Boykin on Facebook. You can find me there. Follow me. At the end of this, I will have everything so that you can watch this, listen to this on all different networks. Mr. Donnie, how can we get up with you?
Okay, you can reach me by email at nicksbluetrain. That's at Gmail, and that's NICKSBLUETRAIN
All right.
at gmail.com.
That's Mr. Donnie. Miss Tiffany, how can we reach you?
My name is Tiffany Fullwood. Tiffany with a Y. Fullwood, FULWOOD. That's on Facebook.com. And I prefer for no one to email me. So reach out to me on Facebook. I don't
I'm
check
an
my
email
email.
person, so I don't know. I love emailing.
So I'm Jamie. Just stop by the workshop, 614 Red Cross Street. If I'm not shooting, I'll be more than happy to talk to you. Instagram, I'm the Workshop of Wilmington, and on social, just Jamie Hansen. Other than that, let's get creative.
Awesome,
Well,
man.
one more thing, because
Yes.
earlier when I was introducing myself, I forgot to tell everyone what I do for a living. I am self-employed, but I also work for a company. My self-employment is I am a private CNA. I am also a med tech, and I'm a direct care support staff with ASAP, Autism Support and Programs, located in Hempstead, North Carolina, locally here in Wilmington.
That's awesome, Miss Tiffany. Thank you for your services, sweetheart. We appreciate
Thank you. And I love giving back to the community. I love taking care of people, and that's my life calling.
You gotta close the show.
Doom, doom, doom. I never worked on a closing. Like I said, thank you guys for coming on to the Pressure Pot. It was awesome.
www.thepressurepot.com.
Yes.
All right, you guys can reach me at www.pressurepot.com. Again, that's www.pressurepot.com.
ThePressurePot.
I think we're gonna put this on everything, YouTube and
Yeah, Facebook.
Facebook,
IG.
all those awesome things. IG, like I said, and to reach me, Jakima Boykin on Facebook. Again, that's Jakima Boykin. You guys hit me up about topics. I mean, I got a list full of topics, but if you guys want to jump on the show, talk about topics, we can talk about whatever, man. This is gonna be an ongoing thing. I don't plan on stopping it. Right now, my only competition is
Me?
Myself.
No competition. Thank you guys. PressurePot.com.